You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. Disney.
Well, how good it is to see so many people still coming in here on a Saturday night. My name's Rick Farron. I'm at the control panel of the Six Screens up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And, I have to tell you, it is so refreshing. It is so enlightening to have so many people coming in. And this is where ex Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk. They come every Saturday night and every other Sunday. And we have so many people coming on now that we would call PIMQs. Now, PIMQs are those that are questioning the Watchtower. We have so many right now that are questioning it. So we welcome all you PIMQs on here tonight. But we have a program from a man. He's an ex-Jehovah's Witness. He's originally from Rhode Island, but he's down there in Tennessee. And he has a program called Awakening After the Watchtower. His name is Eric. Let's bring Eric on right now. Let's add him to the stage. Hello, Eric.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
Well, Eric, it's full speed ahead. Things are happening. Boy, I'll tell you, it's exploding here tonight. Boy, I'm looking at people coming in from all over the place. So I think you're going to have a really good program tonight, really.
Yeah, sounds good. Do we need to reset the phone lines by any chance?
Maybe I'll set the phone lines. You can talk while I'm doing that.
Okay.
And also I'll put up a link so if people want to
Yeah,
come
that would
in.
be great.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
I'll do that. So you just go ahead and talk for a little bit, and I'll get that all settled for you. Okay?
Thank you, buddy.
Okay. I'll
All
bow out.
right. Well, thank you everybody for having me on. This is Eric, aka Ricky Bobby. It's time to shake and bake, as Gigi's saying. Love you all. Hope you're having a good Saturday night. Let's see here. What was I going to say real quick? Oh, that's right. Let's say hi to everybody. Well, Rick's redoing the lines. So we got Jane Spitfire. Hi, Jane. We've got Debbie Moore, my mama, Maverick, Keith Silver, John Marciano, the great Gigi for GB, chat composer, my buddy, John Marciano. I said that. Keith Silver. Who am I missing? Ruby Quinn's here, and Dallas, King of the Dots. All right, that's everybody. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good night. All right, let's see. Well, I was trying to think of what I was going to talk about tonight, and it took me a while. And Watchtower actually helped me out, and they gave me my theme. The theme is "Beware of the trickery of men." It's from Ephesians 4:14, and it's in their daily text for today's date, Saturday, September 14th. But I'm gonna read it real quick because I love how they like always they call themselves out, like it's just ridiculous. Anyways, I'll let you guys hear it. It says, young ones, Satan will try and prevent you from making further spiritual progress. One way he may do that is by raising doubts in your mind about some of the Bible's teachings. For example, sooner or later, you will come across the God dishonoring theory of evolution. You may have given no thought to the subject when you were younger, but now that you are older, perhaps you are confronted with it directly in school. What you're Everybody's bored by now. What your teachers say in support of evolution may seem logical and convincing. However, they may have never seriously considered the evidence of the existence of a creator. Remember the principle found at Proverbs 18:17, the first to state his case right until I messed that up. Right until another comes and cross-examines him, instead of blindly accepting ideas that you hear at school as fact. Carefully consider the truths found in God's word, the Bible, and our publications. They just had to, didn't they? They had to put in their publications, and that's the trickery right there. That's the trick. There's always a trick in everything that they do. I wrote it down so I didn't have to go to another app, the JW Org app. But like that's what they did. That's what they do. They are tricksters. These guys are con artists, and they're using half truths too, because I know some people believe in evolution. I personally mm, don't really totally buy into it. Like we came from apes, that part of it and stuff. I don't buy that. So my point being is, just for the sake of argument, if it's not true, Jehovah's Witnesses get something right, and then they use that in their advantage to manipulate it and to deceive. And I just find it incredible that they're always calling out what they're guilty of, and that's a con artist. That's exactly what a con artist is. Um, they tricked us with the RBC LDC work, right? Come to find out that they just want our the insurance checks. So you're getting free labor. Oh, do I have a guest on here? Oh, that's right. You're getting free labor from us, and then on top of that, they just got so greedy with it. It wasn't just about um, faking to look like they were doing charity work. Um, they they decided to get buildings and kingdom halls built, and then um, just build an empire off the blood, sweat, and tears of our brothers and sisters. It's ridiculous. Hi, Maverick. Just said hello. But yeah, or is that an old text here? I'll move the thing up. There we go. But yeah, what else do they do with? So what I was saying with the half truths, like like God's name is Jehovah. I do believe that. I believe it's Yahweh, and I believe translated. We speak English, and Spanish says it different. Jehovah. I mean, it makes sense to me. But like a broken clock is right twice a day, and that's what they're doing. They use the power of some truths, especially God's name, and they're able to get what they want. And I just find it incredible that they use that scripture, "Beware of the trickery of men." Um, and they don't even say the whole thing. They only paraphrase it. It's much longer than that too. And that's another thing they do in the daily text is they always trick you. They give like sometimes they'll give like three words from the sentence, or even from the scripture, and it's like, what the heck? These guys, that's all they do is trick. That's all they know how to do is deceive. That's why they're not charitable. That's why they're not like the Baptists and the Catholics and the Protestants or whoever else has. I know the Baptists and the Catholics have AA. They don't throw you out of the church. If you got a problem, they actually have like there's a Baptist church down the street that I went to one time for an AA meeting, and very nice people, and they were shocked to find out that you could get shunned, disfellowshipped for going to an AA meeting because they all see it. These people are good people too. They've hit rock bottom and they got help, and they live productive lives now, and they live not just productive but healthy lives. Not that I'm a good example. I battle with alcohol, but the men's sign at the Kingdom Hall restroom is trickery. But yeah, I thank you, Watchtower, for giving me a subject tonight because we were tricked. We were tricked in every way. Um, we were tricked into thinking that these elders are anointed by God. What a load of crap. We were tricked with 1914. We were tricked in thinking that these nine men have anything to do with God. Where weren't we tricked? And I bring these. I bring this subject up too, and as a side subject, I know I'm a broken record, but I'm really busy on Quora, Quora, I think that question or answer forum, and it's just shocking to see the witnesses, their attitudes. They're constantly telling me I'm going to die at Armageddon. They're constantly. One guy said I'm an embarrassment to my family, or a failure, something like that, or a failure to my family. I've had all kinds of slanderous remarks. I had someone said that I returned to the vomit, and I said, well, I was raised as a witness, so I actually didn't return to the vomit if I was never in it in the first place. I actually left the vomit. I was born into the vomit and I left the vomit. Now I would never to go back to be a Jehovah's Witness. Who wants to do that? Dallas says, "Anointed, what a bunch of BS." I know it is. These men and women that decided they're going to heaven, they just made it up. It's none of it's real. I don't even. Well, whatever. We don't have to get into biblical doctrine on a Saturday night, but it's ridiculous for that these like even if all right, let's just do a hypothetical. Why would God use modern day man compared to Paul? I don't like Paul. He's a bad example, but Peter is a lot of people do like Paul. Paul, Peter, Thomas the doubter, the guy that doubted Jesus but then swore his life to him. John, Mark, everybody that was involved. It's like why would God use modern day men instead of all those original, the OGs? It doesn't make any. It never made sense to me. I'm just like, well, we're so far from perfection now compared to those men back then. Why would God want And what did these guys do to earn to go to heaven? None of it ever made sense to me. Like Rick Farron says, how do you make sense out of nonsense? Let's see, Jane Spitfire, 587. Good point. We know the truth, and living life is see fit and decent humans. Yeah, I mean that is something. The witnesses have a. It's going to happen no matter what because of karma, uh, or and just because of the truth. The truth always rises to the top. The witnesses are going to have to accept that. Like 607 was a complete and utter lie. It doesn't even line up. It's a good point, Jane. It doesn't even line up at all whatsoever biblically or historically. After hearing Bible historians talking about it, I can't remember where I watched it on YouTube, but I was just like, yeah, these guys got it all wrong. In fact, the historians aren't even really sure, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, if it was 587 or 586 because it was in between, like the change of the new year. Um, but anyways, we were tricked in every way. Um, there doesn't seem there isn't one avenue. We got tricked in. Here's another thing we got tricked on, right? How about doing, if any of you brothers and sisters have to do cleaning and Kingdom Hall maintenance, cutting the lawn? You worked, I don't know about you guys, but I would work anywhere from 40 to 60 hours, a week. And then I got to do something for them, either cut the lawn or what was it, Saturdays you go and do all kinds of landscaping and everybody would. I won't lie to you. I guess you guys being raised in New England, the food was incredible. Everybody brought, but it's so much on the people. We're all slaving for something that Watchtower owns these buildings. They should be doing the maintenance for it. It's like we built it. We uh, we built the property, we maintained the property, they took the property away from us. I mean, they tricked us in every way. They pulled the rug out of us when they said, "Oh, we're going to help you out and take over the payments." I mean, literally, it's like working, having the illusion of having your own business and thinking that you're like in charge, but you're not, and then you have your assets pulled away from you. It's just I don't know. I'm not giving a good example, but it's the level of it's a level of con artist that I couldn't think of that. I guess I have to have a wicked brain for it. Um, but yeah, is anybody on the phone lines? I did hear somebody talking a little bit. If you want to speak up, go ahead. But if not, I'll keep going. Well, back to Quora. Um, it's really interesting because for people who um, aren't supposed, like I'm a known apostate. I've been disfellowshipped and marked on Quora. In fact, somebody found my video that I have on YouTube. I haven't shared it on Six Screens, but I have a video on YouTube where I crashed a cart, and I think I only have two videos, and the other one's not Jehovah's Witness related. But anyways, they looked that up and found it, and he's like, Ricky Bobby's a known apostate. Look what he did. But if you ever seen the video or ever watch it, I just posed questions and I just said how unfair the system was and brought up different things. And it's like the witnesses see anything that is anytime you challenge them, they see you as a resistor or an apostate, and it's a horrible. Our own parents, our own kids, reject us because we don't think just like them. I've never seen anything like it before. I remember when I was a kid, I always wished that I was like raised as a Catholic, because living in Rhode Island, there was all these Catholic friends of mine when I was in school, and they were way cooler, and their parents were wicked cool for the most part. It's a different. Oh, I don't know why that's highlighted. I didn't do that, Debbie, but maybe Gigi did, or somebody. I don't know. Anybody can come on and, anyways. But I forgot what I was saying. Oh, about the Catholics. It's just that it wasn't easy, and you all know this. I'm preaching to the choir. It wasn't easy being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I always used to feel bad that I wished I wasn't in the truth. But it just goes to show the number that they do on you. Like, if you don't want to do something, you shouldn't have to be forced to do it. You know, somebody on the phone, you want to speak up?
Yeah, Eric, it's Gary.
Hey, King of
King
Dots.
of Dots. Is that what people call me, King of Dots? Anyway,
Yeah.
I was raised Catholic. I'm hearing you wax poetically about being a Catholic. Do you want to hear about Catholics? I mean, you
Oh,
got a question?
they're just as, listen. I'm not praising Catholics. They're just as screwed up. It's just that's how bad Jehovah's Witnesses is. That I'd rather get molested by a Catholic priest than a Jehovah's Witness one. At least they're not going to disfellowship me. I know that Catholicism is completely messed up and not a good religion, really.
Well, actually, the Catholics have some good stuff. If you commit a
They do.
serious, as you know, you go behind a curtain and talk to a Catholic priest. One person. All you do is confess your sin, then he gives you a penance to do, like 5 Hail Marys for adultery, 3 Our Fathers for murder. I'm kidding. But anyway, that's all you have to do. You go out, you do your penance secretly in the pew. And let me tell you about my first confession in the Catholic Church. My second confession, okay? I was told you get lots of graces, lots of Holy Spirit if you confess your sins. So we did our practice confession in Immaculate Conception in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so the nun says, confess your sins, go to confession all the time. So I did 2 days later, and I thought to myself, well, that was a practice confession. Probably I've lied more and disobeyed more. So I told the priest, my last confession, what do you say? You say, my father, my last confession was 2 days ago, and I've disobeyed my parents 50 times, and I've lied 100 times. Anyway, he started screaming and yelling at me, and I ran out of confessional and hid in the pews. And that's what happened to me in my second confession to the Catholic Church. Okay. Then when I moved back up to Cincinnati, I had stolen a box of crayons, and I confessed it to the priest. Says, well, you need to go back there and return those crayons right now. So I was like, well, I guess I'm screwed. It's like 600 miles away. What am I supposed to do, So this is the drawback to confession to a Catholic priest. But it is good. You only have one person to talk to, and you don't even see him. He's behind a screen. Now, Watchtower should do that. Put the elders behind a screen, and they you don't know who they're talking to, and they don't know who you're talking to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, really, you don't need man for anything, but at least they don't have 3 guys that put you in this intimidating meeting, judicial committee, and ask you all kinds of weird questions. Dude, they asked my brother, who was underage. He's underage. He's like 17, and he had oral sex with his girlfriend, who was like 15. And they asked, or maybe he was 18. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. They're asking him where he came and stuff like that, and it's like the girl is 15. She is way underage. You shouldn't be asking any of those questions. These guys are creepazoids. When my brother told me that, I'm like, oh my god, dude. He told me the elder was Jeff Giddy. I don't care. Guy's a
Oh,
super Pharisee.
like,
But yeah, he asked. This
yeah,
guy's known to ask all kinds of creepy questions to those sisters, just like kind of like what Debbie Moore went through with the elders when they were asking her inappropriate questions. Not just like that, because that was rape. But anyways, you get my. Everyone gets
well,
my
you
point.
know
That
what?
it's
The
just
the similarities between witnesses and Catholics are actually very epic. I mean, they basically have their own vibes, quite frankly. And again, I was an altar boy very briefly, and the altar boys had cussing contests all the time. In fact, they gave us sex education in the 7th grade in Catholic grade school. It was 1968, 67, and all the boys wanted to do after that was have sex with the girls. That's how good. And nuns officiated over the sex education classes. So what did I have to listen to all summer long? Yeah, I just did this to her. I just did that to her. That's what I heard all the time. Put a lot of pressure on me. You know, it was terrible. It was the most terrible experience of my life. Pressure to have sex with girls because all the other altar boys were having sex with girls, you know. And one more incident, and I'll let you go here. My
oh, you're good.
my
We had
cousin,
JD on here too.
yeah, Johnny. He died like 5 years ago, dead in a motel room 70 miles away. He was a sex fucking addict. Okay, I started hanging out with him. He told me, "Hey, the Marydale Seminary in Northern Kentucky, they got a swimming pool, and then the priest there, they showed me, they got a secret. They would have women and men there. They got a secret hole in the upstairs where you can look and see all the women get dressed and undressed." So that's what he told me. That's a fact, okay? And he was a damn sex addict. I had to get away from him, man. He tried to set me up with prostitutes at a nightclub, me and another guy. And it was like, no, I ain't giving her $25 for a drink and then go up to the nightclub. Anyway, he and his wife, years later after we left the witnesses, tried to befriend him and his wife. And they tried to do, what do you call, sex, wife swapping with us. And it's like, this is the Catholic Church. This is reality, man. They're deviant. They're as bad as witnesses, okay? It's nonstop shit with my Catholic relatives. They're crazy. They're nuts. I'm surprised they're having more cousins. Well, actually, there's been incidences with cousins. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm surprised there haven't been more. Okay, I'm out of here, buddy.
All right, bud. Well, thanks for calling in. Hey, we got Gigi for GB here.
I hate to leave you all alone. You got another
It's my
caller
best
or not?
friend. And it's
There we
shaking
go.
right time.
Boy, Cal, I don't like the way you're talking out there.
Damn it, torpedoes!
This is my conscience says,
Shake the thing, buddy! Shake it!
That's me, boss.
I guess
You got it, man. You're my wingman. You're my wingman, Gigi.
That's how you do it, man.
I know. I need to get a clip, and I need to figure out how to put clips on this so I can have that as an introduction every time for my show. I think it fits.
Yeah, because only Rick Farron shakes and bakes. You go to JW Broadcasting, man. They're still having the air fryer shit. You know, come on, man. But I'm with you, man, on the trickery thing. It's just real simple. What I found out is King Solomon said, "There's nothing new under the sun." It's the same old song. Frank Sinatra sings a song. It's the same old song and dance. It's just the names change. So what we experience as Jehovah's Witness, you find it in the Catholic Church, the Mormons, the Democrats, the Republicans. You find it everywhere. And then, my brother Jesse, we talk about remember how Jesus talked about the seeds? You got the two seeds growing alongside each other, the wheat and the weeds. And now as you get older, you realize, oh my God, it's true. You know, as I was growing up in life, I didn't know that half the people that I was growing up with are a bunch of retards. And I'm sorry, and it's not because it's not because they're not me that I'm retarded, but it's just you realize
I
that
haven't heard that word in a while. That's why I'm laughing.
they're the weeds, man. Because what
Yeah.
what person will hide pedophiles in his congregation and keep going to the same meeting? Gary's talking about wife swapping, and what's his face? Rick Barron is talking about gay elders and the rest
Gay
of
men.
it. What normal person doesn't pick up and leave? I'll tell you who. It's the weeds that Jesus talked about. The normal people get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah. I actually 100% agree with you. I feel like this is happening not just in religion or in cults, but
Mhm.
also like or religious cults, I should say, but
Mhm.
also political cults. There's a you're almost able to tell if someone is a wheat and a weed, just like the Bible was predicting.
Yeah,
And
and we're
it's
not.
just because if you're like I don't mean to upset everybody, and I'll make this real brief on political, but if you're like pro-abortion and like I like killing babies, we kind of like we kind of we,
And
we,
we're
we
not
kind of
trying to
know
preach.
you're the enemy.
And we're not trying to talk to you about this like a sermon.
No. Oh, are you there? You still there, buddy? Am I still here? Can everyone hear me? Let's let me go because like the phone did something weird or my speaker did something weird. Can
We
everyone
can hear
in
you.
the comments section?
We
Oh,
can
you
hear
can hear
you.
me? Oh, okay. If it's
Yeah,
just
we
Gigi's
can.
then. I heard a weird noise
Sex
and then it like
trafficking
went.
throughout the United States. From a political angle. Do you love your political party so much that you will jeopardize these children? And that's what we're finding out, that some of our brothers are zombies. And we're not coming to you from a religious angle. We're not saying this. Yes, we're quoting Jesus about the wheat and the weeds, but we're looking at it from a common sense perspective. This makes sense. Our
Yeah.
brothers are retards because you put up with things because you love your fraternal order of the Elks,
Well, Gigi's coming in and out.
your
You
club
there? You still with us? There he is.
more than you love your neighbor. And I think that's what, when you simplify it to the most common denominator, it goes back to loving your neighbor. And a lot of people love the build, like with the people that killed Jesus, they love the temple more than they love Jesus. Jesus was curing them from the diseases and everything. They should have been happy, but they go and they kill it. They kill him. That's what I'm saying, because they love their power structure more.
I think it must be on my end. Something's happening
Where
to
the
where
truth comes in, we're seeing that it's
No,
all the
Eric,
same.
it's not on your end. Gilbert has a bad connection. That's
Oh,
what's
I'm
going on.
sorry.
okay.
Gilbert has a bad connection. Yep.
Okay, I think
Everybody's
I know
saying
what
he
it
keeps
is.
talking and they can hear him, but I can't hear him. Well, it comes in and out. I can like, and then it'll be dead for 1 second.
Yeah, because I'm far away from my internet booster thing. That's what it is. So I moved closer
Okay, I
to my.
got you. That happens to me on my Bluetooth if I walk too far from my phone or something.
Yeah, but
No, you were
but
you were
that's
saying good things. I only heard half of it.
that's the point, is that people love things more than they love people. And that was one of the things I was telling the elders when I was leaving. And I was like, you guys love stone, steel, and wood more than you love children. A
Yeah.
politician, a businessman, just fill in the blank. It could be anything. A priest, they love their power, their position, the title. The police officer, he loves his badge more than he loves the citizenry. And that's where the trickery comes in. We're seeing it everywhere. And this is why we have to love our neighbor as ourselves. It's a real simple concept. It's not even a religious concept. It's just common sense.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got
But
quiet. I was reading the comment sections too.
yeah, I think Rick Farron messed us all up because bringing up that subject about the two elders in the men's restroom. I mean, we can go on a comedy tour on that one for. I mean, yeah.
It's funny. It's funny too. Yeah, it definitely is funny, but it's also like disturbing because it's just like, why are you guys elders? Why are you telling people what to do with themselves when you're gay? It's just like,
Well,
come on.
I learned this from a couple of people, ex Jehovah's Witnesses, that would call me, and I learned this also from Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown talks about people that get their freak on. So every human being that has ever had sex, he gets his or her freak on. And what I learned in my dealings with people is that a lot of people like to have freaky sex, and they'll go to the church, whatever the church is, or they'll go to the drive-in, movie theater or whatever. They're always trying to have sex in the wrong places, and it's freaky. It's so when two men are having sex in a Kingdom Hall men's restroom, they're sexual perverts. They once they do that a couple of times, they have to go do it in the parking lot, and then in the attic. They're always having to find just having their freak on, with their spouse in the bedroom. They need to do. They think it's like an Emerald TV show, cooking show. They got to kick it up a notch. No, you don't have to kick it up a notch. But that's what it is. These sexual deviants are never, and this is what happens. We all know that, when people watch excessive porn, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse because it doesn't turn them on anymore. And then before you know it, some turn into the pedophiles because they have to get their freak on. It's
Worse than the sexual part of it, because some people want the conversation changed, but I will change it slightly.
yeah,
Worse than the sexual part of it. It's just that one of the worst things you can do as a Jehovah's Witness is be gay. Basically, my cousin came out gay, and he was banished. Like nobody will do anything with him. None of his family will talk to him ever again for that. But so you got two elders. They most likely have been on a committee meeting at some point and disfellowship somebody. That's the real problem here. The hypocrisy, the trickery in thinking that these two AHs have Holy Spirit anointed on them, and it has nothing to even do with homosexuality. It has to do with that they're breaking the rules big time, and they're judging people for it. And that's I think that's the major issue with it. And yeah, I don't mean to cut to steer it off from that, but people don't really want to get into the sex part of it. It seems in the comment section, and I understand that. But yeah, we can change the subject. But I don't know. I thought it was a good when I saw today's text. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a good theme for the show. Beware of the trickery of men. It's everywhere. What do you think? What do you think, Gilbert?
well, yeah. Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. The only difference with the trickery is that the names have changed. Like
Mm. Like what?
like the Kingdom Hall bathroom, it says men's. Well, that's a trickery. No, just kidding. I couldn't miss. But no, but it's just the names have changed, but
Yeah.
when you dissect the trickery, you find out that, oh my God, it's almost identical. Like King of Dots was saying earlier about, because it's identical to the Catholic Church. Well, yeah, it's the same playbook, just being used in a different format, in a different setting.
Yep. You're right. Just like
Eric,
yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, Eric, I'm going to tell you something. I'm struggling because the format for everybody's shows. I don't care if it's Ruby Quinn's, Rick's, or yours. I just can't keep up with the changing subject matter. But it's great. It's a free for all. That's called true freedom, man. That's what we have here in this country. But by the time I get through, I don't even know what the subject is, and I'm trying to figure out frantically
Trickery.
Trickery
From men. Trickery from men.
Yeah.
Beware of the trickery of men, I should say. Sorry.
What Gilbert was talking about? Trickery. I can't even pronounce it.
Trickery. Trickery. Beware of the trickery of men.
Trickery. Well, you know what? Trickery, or men who are fools, who are already tricked, and they're asked for the task of tricking you. And that's what I think we got going on here. A bunch of freaking fools who are asked to do this to you. And who gets the blame for it? Is it them, or is it the people who ask them to do it to them? I mean, let's put a little blame here. Judgment's going to come down. We don't want to think about judgment for us or for others. But guess what? Somebody's going to get it. The Bible's clear about it. Who's going to get it? The elders or the people who set them upon us like a bunch of rabid beasts? Who's going to get it, man?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, hey, I will tell you, like, I've known Geary since.
Do you have a thought on that? Who do you think
I've
God is judged for fairly?
Do I think God what?
They're going to
Can
be
you ask?
judged. People are
Can you ask the?
People
Can you ask the question again?
I said, somebody's going to get the judgment. And what does it say about heavier judgment? Because people have died at the hands of these individuals, or at the mouth, their words, they're frantically changing words every couple of years about what you should do about blood or abortion or fornication or whatever else. So somebody's going to get judged. I'm just trying to figure out, since that is the topic, who is going to get the judgment? Is Gilbert going to get it? He used to be an elder. I kind of would say that Gilbert's going to get some share of judgment. Okay, he won't admit to me because I've talked to him before. Have you disfellowshipped anybody, Gilbert?
We're all going to be judged, brother. That's not fair because we're all going to be judged. And Gilbert changed his path. He's like the Apostle Paul, but not nearly as bad. He didn't kill nobody, and he didn't. I don't even know if Gilbert disfellowshipped somebody. Jesse was an elder longer, but that doesn't matter because that's between Jesus, you know. And
why wouldn't
we're all sinners? You and I are sinners. You know.
Why wouldn't an elder admit if he disfellowshipped someone? What does that indicate? It's kind of a prima facie thing here. Maybe he feels guilt for disfellowshipping someone. That's what I'm saying.
Am I putting words in Gigi's mouth? Maybe I don't know.
I just brought up a deep subject, okay, Eric? I brought up a deep subject. That's what I do.
That's cool.
All about it. Guess what? I'm not judging anybody. I'm just telling people to think about the subject of judgment, which is going on in Watchtower, and a lot of us who left Watchtower contributed to it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Eric. We love you, buddy. Bye-bye.
I love you too, man. Thanks for calling, everybody.
And I've known King of Dots since 2015. I know Geary, and he gets better when he takes his medication. And so today was just one of those days. But you're
just gonna say it just like that, huh?
Yeah, but the thing about the trick, but what people need to understand about the trickery, and they got to keep it simple, is that when you break it down, it's the exact same trick. Like, I'll give you an example: the Jehovah's Witnesses put on a suit and tie. A judge, or a politician puts on a costume as well, and so does the doctor. He puts on his white lab coat, and so everywhere you go, you have all of these people with badges and uniforms. And the trickery lies in that we should surrender our own thinking ability to somebody who has a badge or a uniform. And we do that as human beings. Like, oh well, you must be an elder, so you have to be smart. See, we give people respect that they don't deserve. Just because a doctor says, "Well, take this pill," doesn't mean I should take it. I don't know if he's
Mm.
getting anything on the back end. See, but what happens is the trickery is the same in that I got a badge, I have a tie, I have this building behind me, and makes
Yep.
me think that I'm a man of authority. No, you're not a man of authority. We all bleed red, and that's the trickery part. And I'm not trying to. I mean, we all fall for this all the time throughout our lives. But when we're aware of the trickery, we just say, wait, hold on a minute. Let me think about this. I don't care if you're a police officer. I don't care if you're a judge. I don't care if you're a politician. I don't care if you're Joe Biden or President Trump. Let me think.
Mm.
And I think that's where the trickery comes in, is in titles, badges, and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. There's so much trickery. It never ends. We were because we were like especially if you were raised in it, we were born into being tricked. We were born into a lie. We were everything that we were taught. I always like get little flashbacks here and there of thinking how like yeah, I'm probably gonna die at Armageddon, but I didn't care. I didn't covet paradise. So they're like their trick to try to use fear didn't work on me because I wasn't like a healthy I didn't have like a great healthy like love of myself, a healthy love of myself. Like I mean I was a self-harm cutter for many years. So like I never thought I was going to make paradise or cared to make it. I didn't I still lived my life in a moral way, in a moral way, or as moral as I could try to. But again, we're all sinners. So it's like when King of Dots was saying that you would have to like have an accounting, maybe is that what he was getting at to God. It's like, well, we all do because like we all have skeletons. We all, even if you don't do like the Jehovah's Witness sins, if you judge someone harshly and you're like kind of slander, conspire maybe against people, it's common in the organization. That makes you. That's why the rafter, and I'm not trying to make it too biblical, but that's why the rafter and the straw analogy is in the Bible, because so many
Yeah.
people are focusing on your sins and not their own. You know,
And check this out.
just being a judgmental person can make you really a negative
Mhm.
person. And
Yeah.
Jesus wants positivity. Go ahead, Gigi.
Well, think about repaying your debt to society. Imagine
Mm,
imagine you went to jail for something, and you did 6 months in the county jail, and then you come out, and I'm bringing that up against you 20 years later. You're like, at what point is my debt paid off? Well, technically, your debt was paid off 20 years ago. When you got out of jail for 6 months, you paid that to society. And you're right about what you're saying. Is a lot of times, uh, we don't want to forgive people's debts. And you're like, dude, I paid off that debt 20 years ago. But no, we're not going to forgive you. But I will tell you that
mm.
one guy I disfellowshipped, I ran into him in a gas station down on 24th Street and Avenue B. And I go, Ernesto, how you doing? And I apologized to him about the stupid, and he laughed and he says it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Did he wake
Because,
up?
well, no, because when I was disfellowshipping him, he disfellowshipped himself, because in the
Yes.
disfellowshipping meeting, I told Ernesto, I go, Ernesto, the problem is not that you're going to have sex with your girlfriend tonight, which you said you are. You're going to keep doing it. I go, the problem is that she might get pregnant and wants to have a baby, and you don't want to marry her. The problem is that her dad doesn't know what's happening. You're playing everybody like a fool, and your mom and dad did a better job in raising you. Well, I saw him years later. He's married. Father-in-law loves him. He has two beautiful girls, twins, boy. He's just happy as can be. So it was the best thing that ever happened to him. But when
Mm,
we did the when I but I was happy because when we did the disfellowshipping thing, yeah, I was wrong, but I didn't follow Watchtower's rules. I presented it in a
No,
different
you
way.
didn't. From what I hear, I've never heard an elder go out of his way like that. That's pretty
Yeah,
well. One elder, Danny Antonelli, was a
yeah,
stand up man, and he's not an
yeah,
elder anymore because he used the F word against another
yeah,
elder that was harassing him. He
yeah.
pushed him to the point where he did that, and it's like they kick all the. Honestly, Gigi, I think it's a badge of honor that you were an elder and that you fired yourself. You know,
Yeah.
you
But
said
here's
no,
the
I'm
moral of
not
the
going to do
story.
this. Just like my buddy who can't do it anymore. He's like, well, whatever. He's like, I'll just serve God the best I can. But like, he's still stuck in it. But you woke up and got out of it. I mean, and then here you are. You got your own channel, and you and your brother speak out, and you wake people up, and you help people. I was I was surprised of the irony of just the coincidence, I should say, not irony, of Audrey, my guest that I had on here on New Year Channel, and I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. See,
Mhm.
we all are working hard to help one another,
So the
and
moral of the
that's just
story.
one small example. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the moral of the story, I think what what I'm saying is, in your show is, you paid your debt to society. You were a Jehovah's Witness. You paid your debt. You're out. You got out of jail, man.
Yeah.
We don't. We paid our debt to society, and we said, and all of us have said we're sorry. And like you said, I'm not going back. And at what point does the balance say zero? So I'm not, and I understand exactly where King and Dots is coming from, and I don't judge him, but I understand what he's saying. But at what point do I just forgive and say my brother has a zero balance? You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, yeah. I just know that the lack of medication is what's hurting King and Dots right now. But then again, I can say that because I've known him since 2015, and we've been brawling since 2015. So yeah, we love each other, but that's my message to everybody. My message to Ruby Quinn too. Ruby, you have to let us. You gotta say the balance is zero. You don't owe us anymore. We've paid our debt to society. You
Well,
know.
she's here. Why don't you let her
Oh,
say
she's here.
what she
Oh,
wants to
okay.
say? Yeah, she's here. Go ahead, Ruby.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you?
Um yeah. So exactly what Gigi was saying, I was gonna bring one point to that. Like I said in the comments, a lot of us have done things that we would have not done if we weren't brainwashed, if we weren't indoctrinated to do those things. Once an elder finds out and he removes himself, that's that's the when you say that they are repentant, it's along the same lines. They're sorry for what they did, they stop doing it, and they don't do it again, right? And then another comment that I put is that's sort of like the penance. The penance is that now we are a part of the ex Jehovah's Witness community, and we help other people wake up, especially elders. That's why I love when we have more and more elders that are coming out, and then they're making YouTube videos. There was just another a new XJW. His name is Caleb, and he's an ex elder, and I've been watching his YouTube videos. That's exactly what we should be seeing more in this community, is those positions of power and leadership. They come over to the other side and they let us know what really goes on behind closed doors, and they help other people wake up. So that's why I'm glad to see Gigi here, and Jesse, and Chaka, and all these other elders that are sorry for what they did under those conditions, but now we have them on our side.
Mhm. And do you want to elaborate on why it's so important to openly apologize, to actually show your face and say, I'm sorry? I remember back in 2015, there was a lot of women making videos. I never saw a guy do it, but I did it. But these women were making videos, just one video, JW video, saying, I'm sorry I knocked on your door on Saturday. They just apologized. And I
Hmm.
just thought that was just so beautiful. And it like lifted the weight off of people's shoulders to openly just say you're sorry. Because the governing body has said they have no need to apologize. They have
Hmm.
Yes,
no reason. And that's the
you are
difference
correct.
between us. Mhm.
Yep. And I say that all the time to people that I meet in like the community where I live in Gallatin, and like just people I meet, and they like when they find out I'm an ex Jehovah's Witness, I always say to them, "Sorry, I knocked on your door," See, that's the thing, Gigi. It's not just elders. We're all guilty of it in some way. We were also judgmental. Remember how like we would see somebody maybe in a public situation and go, "Wow, this person is so nice. I bet they're a Jehovah's Witness," and then they like light up a cigarette, and you're like, "Oh, nope." But what we're saying in actuality is, I wonder if they're like a servant of Christ or God, or like, and we're saying no based on something so stupid, a bad habit, you know. But that's how our brains used to work. But we're disconnected from that now, and that we don't think like that anymore. But that's how a witness thinks.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I got in a fight one time with a girlfriend of mine, and she was saying I was apologizing too much, and I just ripped in. I was
I
like,
do
"Oh
that
hell
too.
no!" I'm gonna apologize up to the day that I die, because I never apologize as a Jehovah's Witness, and don't and I
Mm-hmm.
went and I almost went like Jesus Christ, and I says, "Get behind me, Satan!" And I laid down the
Really?
law, and I says, "You know what? If you want a boyfriend that doesn't want to apologize, then go have him. There's a whole bunch of them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
those are the guys that beat the shit out of you. No, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and 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 that is what I learned from the truth about the truth. And I go to sleep at night so comfortably. I don't have any demons when I go to bed. Imagine living a life where you never apologize. Imagine the demons that follow you to bed. No, I like to sleep nice. I
My
like
dad,
comfortable
my
sleep.
dad's an my dad's an alcoholic because of being an elder, for not very long. I think for about 2 years. But he had to disfellowship somebody, and he started drinking. Like when he would come home from elders meetings or judicial committees, he would start getting bombed. I noticed, but he didn't take it out on anybody. He wasn't like an asshole. Pardon my French. He just like one time I came in to the house and he's like, "PJ's here." I'm like, "Orleman?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know." And he ran upstairs and ran away. He was so drunk that like we had a cat named PJ, and there was also like a PJ like that was like a friend of ours. So I'm just like, what is this guy saying? But yeah, alcoholism can definitely. Oh damn, Paul Aguiar, guy's the town drunk. He disfellowshipped people. But like this guy, he's the coolest elder. He'd be like, "I think you're sorry." Like I don't think he ever voted to disfellowship. I'm just saying that he was involved in the committees. I think he was that type of guy that always hit the no button. In fact, when I got disfellowship the second time, I confided in him. He wasn't on my committee. We weren't in the same hall, but I told him everything that happened and what was going on in my life. And he's like, "You told the elders all this?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "There's no way that you're going to get this fellowship." And I got this fellowship. And I talked to him about it. And he's like, "I guess I was wrong, Eric, but I don't know." He's like, "You can always appeal it." And my father told me to appeal it. My father said, "If you're on a committee meeting, always appeal." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Just do it." But like, it's a waste of time, though. But I think but what I get from that is I think my father was telling me that it's a corrupt system. I think he knew it, and I don't think he stepped down just because his kids were smoking pot. I think it was more because we weren't living in the house. I think it was more than that. I think I don't think he could handle it anymore. He's still not an elder, and I don't think he'll ever be one again. Um, but yeah, he didn't have an alcohol problem before becoming an elder, and that's just what I wanted to share.
Hey, so Ruby,
Mm-hmm.
as a mother, what kind of children would your children be if you, as a mother, don't teach them the importance of apologizing? I mean,
Oh
think
yeah.
about that. Imagine maybe that's the problem with our Jehovah's Witness family. They don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to say I'm sorry, and they never taught their kids to say they're sorry.
Oh yeah. And I think the hard part is that my mother never even taught me how to react or what to do when you do something wrong, because she was always expecting perfection, and that's what I provided, and I was always perfect. So I never made a mistake, I never did anything wrong, in her eyes. So then when those things started happening, I was already like 16, 17 years old, not understanding what is going on here, because I've never rebelled before, I've never did anything wrong, so I never had to apologize for anything. Even to this day, I am like that. I don't apologize for anything because I don't even see it. I don't even see I do anything wrong sometimes. So it's hard to identify that because I've never had to go through that until I was forced, to either stand up for myself or, you know, um, tell my mom that I was never going to go back again, like to stand up to authority because I've never done that before. And then that's another hard part. I'm never gonna apologize for doing stuff like that, for breaking barriers and for pushing the limit. And those figures of authority who I thought were supposed to be my authority, they are no longer. And then they say, oh well, that's your mother, you have to respect her. No, because she's not my mother. So it's really hard to to navigate that when you have to figure out what's your role in life, what's your place in life, especially as a woman in a marriage or with children. Is very hard to teach that because I wasn't taught that.
Speaking of teaching, there's this guy, I put it up on the screen. His name is Jesse Lee Peterson. He's very famous on YouTube, especially for men. And he talks about the toxicity amongst women today, and how men need to learn to forgive their mothers and their fathers, forgive them. And nobody does this better than Jesse Lee Peterson. He's a pastor in LA. But here's the point I'm trying to make. In my voting ballot, I says, accept your birthright. God is your father. When you accept the fact that you're God's son, you're an individual, you realize that babies do not belong to the parents. They belong to God. You have been, they were given to you. But the babies actually belongs to God. So that helps you understand that now that you are no longer a baby, you're a grown adult, you
Mhm.
belong to God. And so you no longer you now you know how to forgive your parents. You say, I'm an adult now. I'm walking on my own 2 feet. I'm going to forgive my mom and dad and get rid of that burden off of me. And they did the best they could, but look, I'm an adult now and I'm doing
Mhm.
good. And so Jesse Lee Peterson talks a lot about this, where we have to learn how to let mom and dad go, like Jesus did with Mary. Like, hey, woman,
Mhm.
I'm a grown man now. I have a job to do. There's no doubt that Jesus always loved Mary, but he's an adult now. And same thing with you. You
Mhm.
have to always love your mom and your dad, but you're an adult now. And one day, it's so sad to even think your baby is going to grow up. It's the worst. I mean, it's the worst thing as a parent to think, oh my God, they're going to grow up. No, they're going to stay with you forever. But that's just the truth. And so,
Mhm.
and they belong to God. And so the best
Yeah.
gift so what I'm trying to say is that we, when we learn how to forgive our mom and dad and our brothers and sisters, and you stand on your own 2 feet, a weight is lifted off of you.
Mhm.
Ricky Bobby was talking about being positive, being happy. That's how we could be happy and positive despite all of the negativity in the life. Is that we just say, thank you, mom. When I was a baby, you did this. Thank you. You took me to the doctor. Thank you. We're appreciative and happy, and we keep all of the good things, and all of the bad things we just chuck the bad.
My
And
my
Okay.
problem my problem
Mhm,
is that I
mhm,
I sh- I'm I show forgiveness, and I always have shown forgiveness, and I still will show forgiveness to my family, but they refuse to do the same. They refuse to even go there. They refuse to even talk about what happened between us. I
mhm,
have not talked to them since
mhm,
uh, it'll be 9 years this Christmas, December 25th. That's well, no, that's not quite right. It was like a couple months after that. Then we never talked again. But it was the events that followed that of how Desiree and I were kind of speaking out against the organization. But yeah, I don't know. it's just hard. It's hard to. It's tough to. It's tough to like want to forgive somebody, but they won't. They won't give you the time of day. You know what I mean? So you're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuck in limbo. Limbo, I guess, right? So what do you think, Ruby and Gigi?
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna be super honest.
Yeah,
I understand what Gigi's saying, right?
yeah, yeah.
But
Me too.
I'm the complete opposite. Like I still maybe that's something I need to work on because I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I have to forgive. I don't feel like I have to have love or show love. It's like, how do you thank somebody for doing the bare minimum? How did like, okay, so I survived. Yeah, you took care of me, but everything, 99% of my whole childhood was horrible or a lie. So to me, I'm like, forget her. I don't care about her anymore. Like I still have that anger or hatred for somebody who doesn't care about anybody but themselves, narcissists. So why do I have to forgive them? What, like, for what?
I mean,
Well,
I
you
can.
do
Can I
have to
say that
listen.
I'm torn? Oh, go ahead, Gigi.
You do have to listen to Jesse Lee Peterson. I mean, nobody does it better than him on this particular subject. Jesse Lee Peterson is the authority, and he helps you understand that you got to get rid of that weight. It really is a weight that you guys carry on your shoulder, in your mind, and you just put it aside. So my sister from Mexico is here visiting us because I went through that operation, and she's telling me about our Jehovah's Witness sister. And I says, listen, I go, I love her, but when she when people stop harboring pedophiles in congregations, I'll talk to them. I drew the line in the sand, and my sister is more than welcome to talk to me. She can vote for me as Gigi for GB, and they all start laughing. I go, but I go, I made a stand. I will not talk to my sister if she is harboring pedophiles, and I started naming names. This is what's happening in the congregation. These are the names. These are the pedophiles, and this is what they're doing. It has to stop somewhere. So you draw a line in the sand, but am I mad at her? No, I pray for her. I get on my knees. I pray for her. And I get rid of all of the anger, the hate, or hurtful feelings. Did she call the FBI on me? Yeah, that's what that's what all of her family told my brother Jesse. I mean, so what I'm trying to say is that we really have to go on the high road. And we have to go the Jesus road, the high road. Why? Because it brings us peace. When we can actually tell our God, Father, forgive them for they don't know what they do. When we pray for our enemies, when we honor our mother and father despite whatever happened, and we just do what has to be done, we have an inner peace. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but I mean, it, uh, it, you guys will have peace if you do it.
Oh, we got Debbie Moore on the line. Go ahead, Debbie. Yeah. Hi, honey.
Hey, Ruby, have you heard that saying before that resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard many things like that, but I don't feel as if I am holding something over me or like if I don't have any peace. I do feel like I have peace. I do feel like I left that behind. I don't let it bother me. I view it as if that person is dead to me, doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I know, but are you a perfect parent?
No.
No, nobody
Okay.
is.
Well, neither am I. And I was mad at my mom till not too long ago, actually. And actually kind of mad at my dad, too, because, but I can't really say that my childhood was really bad, though, because I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was born into it. And I didn't have a bad life growing up. I really did. I mean, I do have I do have some bad memories, but it was mostly because I did resent the congregation when I was little because they took my daddy away. He was always busy doing something with the brothers and sisters at the Kingdom Hall instead of us kids, and he made lots of promises he wasn't able to keep. He probably could have if he prioritized us, but he was an elder when the elder arrangement started. I mean, it was just and he was young and stupid, basically. But none of us are perfect. And if we screw up, we all want our kids to forgive us. My daughter's held resentment against me for like forever. And I bet I've apologized 10, 20,000 times because I know I screwed up. But I did the best I could with what I knew. And this is what Maya Angelou used to say. I did the best, with what I could. And when I knew better, I did better. So, we really do have to be forgiving. We have to forgive our parents for their mistakes if we want our kids to forgive us.
Yeah, but I guess that's what. Right. Well, in my opinion, that's not a mistake. And I mean, I do believe you, Debbie, if that was your circumstance, but everybody's different. And in my circumstance, just like Bob says in the comments, he says, to be honest, I'm sick of hearing we did our best to raise you. Like they can forget about all the crappy stuff they did to us. That's where I'm coming from, because I'm like, how do you congratulate somebody who did the bare minimum? You didn't do anything extraordinary or anything that was different than the rest. You followed the narrative. You raised your kids the way Watchtower told you to do. You disciplined the way Watchtower told you to do, and you did know better because she was DF for like 6 years before she even had me. She had a whole different life before I came into the picture. So there's no excuse. She wasn't indoctrinated like the way I was. It was on purpose. And so I'm not going to forgive somebody. Okay, I'll never say never. But right now, this is how I feel. I'm not going to forgive somebody who doesn't even acknowledge that they did anything wrong. How do you give forgiveness to somebody who is not seeking in that
Who's not
repentance?
sorry.
They don't even want it.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, I understand. I know, and everybody does go at their own speed, and everybody does have their own journey. And in time, maybe you'll change your mind. We'll see.
Now,
like you said, never say never. I mean, it took me decades too, so I mean, I can't get onto you about it. I always just want you to see a different point of view, because I'm saying it as a parent, as a grandparent, and as a great grandparent.
Debbie,
I see both sides of the story, but go ahead, Gigi.
Debbie, this is Gilbert. So I'm going to answer her question. One of the last words Jesus says before they stuck a piece of metal in his side rib was, "Father, forgive them; they do not know what they're doing." So I agree. I respectfully disagree with Bob Roberts. Was it no? Who was that? It was somebody else. Maybe it was Bob Roberts. Yeah. The point is this: you have to look at the bigger picture, and your mom is on a different road, a different freeway than you are. And when you understand the bigger picture at play, then you can forgive somebody as they're putting metal in your hand and they're hanging you from a cross and right about to put a stick in your rib cage. So how did Jesus do it? He saw a bigger picture. There was something bigger at stake. And that's what I'm trying to say, that what you're going through is a learning experience. And you take the blows. That's why Jesus says, how many times, Peter said, how many times does a man have to hit me? 7 times, 77 times. And do you turn the other cheek? So we've been done wrong. But how many of you actually turn the other cheek when somebody physically punches you? You stand straight and erect. See, the words of Jesus Christ sound real pretty, but when rubber hits the road, it's hard to do. Because you're thinking about the road, you're thinking about the small picture. But when you think about the big picture, it's different. You see, Ruby, the day is going to come when your mom, you don't know what's going to happen, but you have to act in such a way that you know that your teaching is a teachable moment for your mom and for your kids. And then you tell the kids, see kids, look, this is what's happening. And you explain it to your kids. Grandma doesn't do this, and this, but we're different. We learn how to let go. We take the beatings. We take the slap on the face. And we return love. We never return evil for evil. And so the kids, I mean, what? I mean, this is a great teachable moment that's before you. So that's that's just my take. And there's something bigger here, Ruby. There's something way bigger, and you have to look at it from that perspective. It's more than just your mom. It's big. It's the universe, your universe.
I don't return it with nothing. Quite honestly, I shun her exactly how she shuns me, and there is there's no bad blood on my end, because I don't want to say I hate this person. I wouldn't go that far, but I'm not going to excuse or justify any of the actions or words that have been said to us, because that's how they view us, as disgusting, as apostates, as mentally ill. No, I'm going to demand the respect, and you're not going to talk to me until you apologize. So those are certain boundaries that I've put in place so that I don't fall into that kind of a depression again. Because once again, I'm not going to forgive somebody who doesn't even know they did something wrong. And then on top of that, who doesn't even care for that type of forgiveness, doesn't want to reconcile that type of a relationship at all. So as it stands right now, is at a standstill. It's not going anywhere. It's just staying right where it is, and and have mutual respect for both of those boundaries. And that's about it. And you know what? I used to feel the same thing about my dad, and he wasn't even a witness, right? But as soon as he told me that, if I'm sorry for leaving you in that, in that cult, now that I realize it's a cult, and if I would have known that, I would have never let your mother raise you like that. That was a moment of acknowledgement. That was a moment of what we all try to look for in people who we thought let us down. I used to always think, well, why didn't he do more? Why didn't he pick me up more? Why wasn't he more active in my life? No, he just was himself, never saw him much. But now that I'm an adult, we were able to cross that bridge. That's what I can appreciate. That's what I can forgive, and I can move forward, and I can move on, and then that relationship continues because that respect is still there. But when the respect is not there, I'm not gonna bend the knee or turn the cheek. None of that. I'm sorry, even though I'm still on that journey with Jesus Christ. It's kind of hard because right now I'm not there yet, and I'm honest with myself to say I'm not there, and I probably have to pray more or read my Bible or whatever it is. But that's where I draw the line. I'm not gonna move forward with that Jehovah's Witness parent.
Can I say one thing that I think I can make a point with a real life story that happened to me for both sides, for both Ruby, well, everybody here. I think it connects to everybody. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what happened. I had a very toxic mother. I'll sum it up really quick. Narcissistic. Um, she was always she would never say I'm sorry, but she always wanted to be forgiven. And she did something, not just one thing, but she did something almost unforgivable, trying to break up my marriage. And my mother said, "You have to forgive me." And I'm always hearing, "You have to forgive me," from her. And she like even would bring out like Watchtower articles and stuff. And I'm like, so, anyways, to make a long story short, I said to my mother, "You have to forgive me." And I poked her in the arm with my finger. I went bang. And maybe it was two fingers. And then I did it again, and I'm putting some pressure into it a little bit. I'm not hurting. I'm not like, I'm not hitting her. But then I keep it up, and I go, "Forgive me, forgive me." And I keep poking her. I'm like, "Forgive me, forgive me." And she goes, "All right, I get it. Stop. I get it." It's because if someone's not sorry but they want forgiveness, it's like, what do you be around that toxic person? Basically, is what that taught me. When my mother, she never truly learned the lesson, but she learned in the moment, because and it's like I was teaching. Oh, I almost swore. It was almost like teaching a friggin' 8-year-old a lesson. Really, I mean, you know, forgiveness. I had to use something so basic, and I did the tap because, not to be violent, but to just because it's an annoyance. You know what I mean? If someone keeps poking you, it's annoying. So that's why I did it. But anyways, someone said, "Great, great example, Eric. Thank you, Anne Marie." But yeah, I tried. You can't teach these guys if they don't want to be taught. Is someone on the phone lines or Ruby or anybody that wanted to speak other than me?
Yeah, I wanted to say one more thing.
Hey, Debbie.
Hey, I understand that if you do have a toxic parent and they're not willing to apologize or something, I do understand that you have to protect yourself from a toxic person. That is very true. You have to take care of yourself, and you have children, and you have to protect your children too. And I'm sure you don't want your children around a toxic person until if she learns how wrong she is still, maybe she will eventually apologize to you. But I do understand the way you feel, Ruby and Bob Roberts. I understand you too. And I'm just proud of both of you, because at least you have left that organization and you're standing on your own and moving forward with your own life. And I think that's really commendable.
It is. I agree.
Can you hear me, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, this is Wild Wall. I just wanted to say
Hey,
that.
well, oh, sorry, buddy. You've been here for a little bit. I forgot. My bad.
Oh no,
How
it's
you
only
doing?
a few minutes. It's only just a few minutes. I got here. I actually had myself muted and I was listening to the conversation. But I've got to say, I see both sides. But I want to commend Ruby for just being able to say that she. Most people's like, let's just forgive everybody. How many times will
Yeah.
you forgive me, any of y'all, if I come up and punch you right in the face, say, "Oops, sorry." You might forgive me that first time, say that was uncalled for. I do not appreciate that. If I did it again, you'd probably lay me out, right, or try. It's like, so there comes a point. Even since Gilbert was an elder, he knows this scripture very well. As far as it depends upon you, be peaceful with all men. You know what that scripture tells me? There comes a time when it no longer depends on you. You cannot be peaceful with all men. But as far as it depends on you, be peaceful with all men. Okay, let's go with what Ruby said earlier. How often, it's easy to quote stuff about how many times do we forgive somebody? 77 times. I say up to 777 times. How many times did Jehovah forgive Adam and Eve when they partake of the fruit? Anybody? How many times do you forgive them?
None.
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 How many times did Jehovah?
That's a good point.
Yeah. How many times did Jehovah forgive Moses when he struck that rock in the desert and said, "Must I bring forth water to gush out of this rock for you"? How many times did he forgive him, or did he not allow him to go into the promised land? How many
0.
times? 0. How many times did he forgive Lot's wife when she turned around? And he specifically told her not to turn around, and she turned into a
None.
pillar of salt. None. Okay, if Ruby sets boundaries and somebody violates them, or they should have not went somewhere where they did, that's up to her to make that call. But as Gilbert said, it's a heavy load to carry sometimes by not forgiving, because it can harm you in some ways. But I
It can
do agree with
internally hurt you, actually,
it can.
forgiveness. Here, if I could give a good example of my forgiveness with my mother, is that the forgiveness is waiting there at any time when she wants to repent. But she's
Mm-hmm.
so unhealthy. And not just that, but I can't even be a part of her life. She won't allow it. My mom, my
Mm-hmm.
dad, everybody, all of my family, everyone. So how can I forgive them when they won't let me? They're not letting me forgive them. You know what I mean? And then like they won't forgive me either. It's just a big old mess because of Watchtower. Watchtower is just they man, they really have. I know I'm getting off topic a little bit, but on Quora, I'm talking to this Jehovah's Witness, and when I said Jehovah's Witnesses are brainwashed in a comment that I said, he said yes, our brains are cleaned. And I'm like, dude, you just admitted to being brainwashed and you quoted Samuel Hurd. These people, they have no mind of their own. It's like Lord of the Rings, the mindless orcs. I'm just like astounded by it. So it's like hard
Mm-hmm.
to forgive people who are just so stupid and choose to be.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate Wild Wall's points, because and I could even take it a step further. Um that's the trickery right there. They can be your mother, your father, close family members, and then they stab you in the back, and then they expect that forgiveness. That was the trick. I woke up one day and I said, wow, she doesn't really care about me. Like I had to accept that fact. I had to accept the fact that she turned into an enemy, even though she is supposed to be my mother, but that doesn't exist anymore. So until that person comes correct and apologizes and says, you know what, yeah, I was wrong, I do want a relationship with you and my grandchildren, and we can move forward. But as of right now, we are on opposite sides. That she already identified herself as an enemy, and she's even told me that. She's like, I'm not going to respect your wishes. I am going to continue talking to your kids about Jehovah if they are around me. And I said, well, I'm very sorry to hear that, and you can't be around them anymore. That's the boundary. That's when you have to put your foot down, when they don't respect that. And she did that to herself, because I have given many opportunities to build that bridge and to keep it there. But that's the trickery. All these years, you're thinking that these people actually really care about you, but they don't. They don't. I would
Hey,
love for her to change her
Watchtower always
mind.
comes first.
Exactly. That's
yeah,
where their loyalty is.
Yep, it
yeah,
is with Joe and Fran.
it's an
Even
adulterous
like
it's an
everybody.
adulterous
Go
relationship.
ahead.
It's an adulterous relationship because mom is supposed to love her husband more than a third party, or a husband's supposed to love his wife more than a third party, but the Watchtower enters into adulterous relationships. So in this case, Ruby, your mom should love you more, but she she lets other people in the relationship. So it should be a mother-daughter relationship, but she's adding a third person, and that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses don't realize, that they carry on in an adulterous relationship, and Watchtower is the lover. But
Mhm.
to go to Wild Walls, I understand where he comes from, because a lot of people say that, but he has every right to be wrong, because in when Job was talking to God, God told him, "Would you discredit my justice? Would you condemn me to justify yourself?" So it's easy to blame God
Excuse me.
for Adam and Eve.
Sorry.
It's easy to blame God for Moses and everybody else, but we don't know what good things God has in store for them. And so
Mhm.
I'll never blame God for anything. And I'll always believe that everything that Jesus tells me sounds pretty, but it's going to be hard to do, because Jesus was killed doing the right thing. And if you don't believe me, ask Martin Luther King, ask Gandhi, ask every person who tried to live and turning the other cheek, returning good for evil. They all
Me,
paid.
God's sake.
Yeah,
I want to
they all
talk about the subject of forgiveness. I want to talk about it. Okay, let's go back there. My dad is a stone cold racist. He's 92 years old. He voted for George Wallace every single time. We lived in a desegregated town in Little Rock, Arkansas, where I met a little black girl and told myself, I'm going to grow up and marry a black woman. Anyway, I did grow up and marry a black woman. He didn't come to my wedding. He didn't come to my graduation. He kicked me out of the house 2 days before my high school graduation because I wouldn't cut my hair down to a burr haircut. Anyway, I love him to death. I don't have to say I forgive him. I just understand him, okay? That's his generation. That's how he grew up. That's a totally different thing about parents. Your parents are a totally different mindset. That's what I encourage everybody to understand. There's nothing about forgiveness here. You just got to understand. And guess what? You became a better man. I became a better man because of it. I didn't become a stone cold racist, even though every time I go down the highway, my dad would say, you know who lives in that house? Look how junky it is. It's those ends. That's what he'd say. That's what I grew up with, okay? I learned it's them damn rednecks. That's what's going on here in Southwest Ohio. You look at a junky area, it's a frickin' cracker redneck. I'm so sick of this shit. Guess what? My dad don't need no forgiveness from me or anywhere else. He was a product of his generation. And I love him to death. And guess what? He's going to go to heaven because I say so. I'm done. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. King of Dots, man. Look at the side effects of that medication. And Ruby, I said, I only have 3 words for you. It's called Jesse Lee Peterson, and this because this whole conversation about forgiveness came with these 3 words, Jesse Lee Peterson. And
I'll
listen,
look him up.
no, the testimonies. We got people who have horror stories that you would get on your knees and thank God Almighty that you had your parents. When you start hearing the horror stories that people tell him, but this guy's onto something. But the point is that Jesse Lee Peterson is going to help you. He's not going to fix your problems. He's going to help you get rid of the weight that you carry. And man, that is going to help you more than anything, because you're going to, when you don't have weight on your shoulders, you're able to carry on better. Yeah.
I don't.
And that's all he's going to do. He's going to lift the weight off your shoulders.
Hey, Ruby.
Yeah.
No man's gonna help you unless his name is Jesus Christ.
No,
right? He's not a man anymore, but he was. No, I hate listening to men. Like, you can listen to someone and hear their advice, but like apply it if it fits for you or not.
No, listen. This is where
say that this person will help you blindly. Like, that's like a medication. It can work for some people, but not others. Yeah, go ahead.
You could listen to him on the InfoWars when he talks to Owen Schroyer, and the guys on.
I know who he is.
Yeah, on this particular subject. On this particular subject is all I'm saying. You don't have to follow him. You don't have to go to his church. On this particular subject, he lays it out. He identifies the problem that a lot of us carry, and it's a weight that doesn't need to be carried. And a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses carry this weight because it's by design. Watchtower is a very vindictive organization. When you leave, they're going to punish you for leaving, and this is how they do it with your family. They're satanic. They're vindictive. Most people, when you leave, like if you were to leave the Republican Party, are they going to go to your home and make your life miserable? No. Only Watchtower and communists do this. They're very vindictive, and so this has affected America a lot. And Jesse Lee Peterson identified this problem. You don't have to join his church, and you're not following him. I'm just saying, it's like a specialist, like a doctor. Every like Jesse Lee Peterson. No, who's the other guy from Canada? Tucker Carlson or whoever. Everybody has their claim to fame. They when you talk about the New World Order, nobody knows more about the New World Order than Alex Jones. Okay, but if you want to talk about a different subject, we go over here, over there. That's all I'm trying to say with Jesse Lee Peterson. It has nothing to do with following people. It's just we've isolated the problem. Now let's fix it.
This is a Linda James. Can you hear me? Can I make a
Linda? Hi, honey. How you doing?
Hi. I'm doing pretty good, and I'm listening. And
do you have a show tonight? Before I sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying that you guys were talking about forgiveness, and so what I'm hearing both of you say is that how can you forgive unless they apologized? In my opinion, forgiveness is not about whether or not they apologize. It's a choice you make to free yourself up from the burden or the heaviness or the weight of resentment or whatever it might be of how badly we were treated. So it's actually for us, not necessarily for them. And it does not mean we get to be back in relationship. It's to free ourselves up from the oppression of what keeps us, heavy. It's a burden, you know what I'm saying? So they don't have to come to us to ask for forgiveness. We don't have to go to them and keep having a relationship with them. The purpose of forgiveness is more so for us than them, is to release like a big old ball of chain that we've got hooked to our ankle and we're dragging around with us. If that's how that is affecting our lives, whether that is or not, that's something you would reflect and decide. You know what I'm saying? But when you heard Debbie say, have you heard the term drinking, it's like drinking poison and expecting it to affect somebody else. And I'm hearing all of you guys kind of touch on this thing. And whether somebody deserves forgiveness or not really isn't the point. The point is to free yourself up from. See, my mother treated me like crap my whole childhood and into my adulthood and to this day. I do not like her at all. There's a part of me that does love her, but I don't answer the phone every time she calls because it's my mother, okay? And she's going to do what my mother's going to do. I don't have to keep her in relationship with me. I do get to set boundaries. And yes, she'll stomp all over them because that's who she is. But who I am, have found the necessity or the reason to forgive her. It's to free me up from resentment that I've had for her. If that makes sense.
Hey, Linda, what if our mothers said, Linda, Eric, I'm so sorry, I messed up. I was so wrong, and I'm calling you to let you know that like I genuinely messed up really bad, and I want to be a different person, and even if you don't accept me, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm is there forgiveness at some point? Do you think for either of us? I think there could be, but there's a lot of damage done too. What do you think?
The damage is going to be there, and mom's probably not going to give you that call.
Yeah,
but
I know. That's the
burden,
thing.
the heaviness of the, if it becomes a big, huge burden on you, then you would choose to forgive to release yourself from the burden, not wait for her to show up and apologize. My mom hasn't apologized for much of nothing. Okay.
Mine either. Yeah.
That
Mine's never apologized.
that's characteristic for right now. That's how they're going to be now. So again, if we choose to forgive, it would be to help release us from a heavy, like if you find yourself ruminating on stuff that has happened to us, or happened to you, how we've been treated badly, which we have, and it just takes over most of our days and stuff. We need to figure out a way to hand that over or shut it down instead of letting it affect so much of our lives. One of the ways we can shut that down is to forgive them, not because they deserve it and not because they came and showed up and asked for it, but so that I don't have to carry it anymore. You see what I'm saying?
It makes sense.
And that's what I've done for me, so that I can be more healthy. Yeah. But again, if it's not affecting you, it's not affecting you.
Going along with what you're saying, Linda, when my mom was in the hospital dying, all my life my mom kept me at arm's length. She actually did it with my little brother too, because we talked about it since her death. But when she was in the hospital and she was dying, I wanted so bad for her to tell me she loved me. Just to hear the words, "I love you." I wanted that so bad. I mean, deep in the core of my being. And he always wanted a hug. And I never could understand on Sundays when we were going to the Kingdom Hall. She would say, I got to go to the Kingdom Hall to get my hugs. And I'm like, but Mom, why won't you hug me? And I struggled with that. And she pushed my kids away, for my hug. But I remember the moment she took her last breath, I realized I'm never going to get that hug, and I'm never going to hear those words, "I love you." So at some point, I've got to learn to love myself. So and maybe people say repeating it doesn't make any difference, but with my grandkids and my kids, every time we hang up the phone or say bye, to leave or something, we end every conversation with "I love you." I don't want anybody in my family to think have any doubt in their mind that I love them. And for the mistakes I made with my kids and my grandkids, I have been so sorry. And I would go to the ends of the earth to prove it. I would die for any of them. I truly do love them. And when I tell somebody I love them, I mean it. I don't say it unless I mean it. But my heart, I let go of all that resentment finally and anger towards my own mom because of that. Because I did look back. I found out from my aunt, one of my aunts after Mama died. I said, why was Mama like that? She said, well, if you knew some of the stuff that happened to her, you would understand when they were growing up. And she told me. And I understand a lot of where she's coming from now that I didn't understand then. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, he could have moved past that. But then, I carried on a lot of my own anger from what happened to me, when I got raped and stuff. And I got blamed for it by the elders. And it really destroyed me for a long time. I mean, that's when I tried to kill myself. And I look back and I think, why weren't my kids important enough for me to want to live for them? You'll say you'll die for your kids. Well, will you live for your kids? That's what's important. You need to live for them and never, ever let them have any doubt how much you love them. I haven't seen my son in almost
when you're suicidal, you're not really thinking of other people because of your internal pain. And I've only because I've been there. I've made a suicide attempt. I have a scar on my wrist from it. So I know what I'm talking about. But it's not. It's a selfish act, but at the same time, it's also a person's pain that's beyond belief, that they can't bear in the moment.
Well, that's true, because if I hadn't been in my own head so much at the moment, I would have thought past today or right now in the pain I was in. And it's weird because when I did try to, when I was doing it, I was at peace at that moment. I felt free from everything because I'm thinking it's all going to be over in just a minute. It's going to be over and everything's going to be fine. It's going to be over. And you are trapped in your own head and you don't think clearly. I mean, if you were thinking clear, you wouldn't kill yourself, because that's going on emotion. And when we're real emotional, we're not always clear thinking. I'm just saying that, it's hard. You can't go back and undo anything when you're a parent, because God, if we could, how many of us wouldn't go back and change something? Because we've all screwed up at some point with our kids. No matter what. My daughter says she's never screwed up with her kids. I've never made a mistake. And I'm like, oh yeah, you have at some point. I mean, you might not realize it, but I'm sure the kids can think of something, I mean, none of us are perfect, so none of us can be a perfect parent. But just, if anybody's wondering how to bridge a gap with your kids, just do it, And I mean, I'm not condoning anything that Bob's mom or Ruby's mom or anybody did, because it doesn't make it right that they did it, and it doubly doesn't make it right if they won't apologize. But, they brought out a good point a minute ago that how many times did God forgive Moses? How many times did he forgive Lot's wife? Hey, that's true. But then that's God. He has that right because he created us. But then at the same time, so I'll shut up now.
Oh, I was just saying that's a good point, Debbie, because God gets to make up the rules. He doesn't abide by human rules.
Yeah, but they're his own rules. Uh,
Yeah,
I'd like to touch. I'd
hold
like to
on,
touch on
hold
something.
on. He doesn't. They're his rules for us. Like I would imagine that God does have the ability to lie. He is more than just not love,
Yeah,
because like he's darkness and light. He's all of it.
yeah,
And
but here's the
go ahead.
thing, Eric. Here's the thing I'd
Yeah,
like to
the
address.
wild ball. Go ahead, wild
Yeah,
ball.
yeah. What I would like to address
Yeah.
is what Gigi said a while ago. In none of my conversation a while ago did I blame God. Did you hear me blame him? I just said how many times did he forgive? What I'm trying to allude to is the other point in the Bible where it says we are made in God's image. Is that correct? Am I fabricating that? Is that not what the
No,
word of the
you're
Lord?
right. You're
Yeah.
right.
So if we're made in
We are.
if we're
Yeah.
made in his image and he wasn't made in our image, then we should have that right too. And if we start making excuses for God when he's supposed to be that, even like with Jesus, he's our exemplar, right? He's supposed to be the one we
Mm.
follow. But patience is not without its end. If you read the Bible through and through from Genesis to Revelation, you'll see God's patience will come to an end. In Revelation, he's going to destroy a lot of people if it's all true. So what I'm saying is, even God has boundaries. You sidestep those boundaries, you turn into a pillow of salt, or you get a flaming sword outside the Garden of Eden that restricts your movement going in and out for one simple thing going wrong. Imagine all the good that Moses did. Even God had it recorded evidently in the Bible. All the massive good he did leading them Egyptians. One simple thing. He forgot to give God credit for bringing that water from the rock in the desert, in the wilderness. And that's why I told people I no longer fear God. I no longer shake. I no longer have panic attacks. Once I realized all them scriptures about broad and spacious is the road leading to destruction, narrow and cramped is the road leading to life. And when Zechariah 2:4, I think it is, where it says that do good, all you in the earth, you meek ones, and this and that, and maybe, just maybe, you may be concealed in the day of God's great anger. There's none of us. And that's why when somebody says, are you saved? I look at them, I'm like, really? If you read the Bible, you realize that even when you think you may be, that's the key word, maybe. So I gave up all that fear. I live each day. I love people of all faiths, denominations, believers, non-believers. But as far as blaming God, I'm just saying if we're going to take part of the Bible, let's take it all. We are made in His image. Okay. So if He can have reset aside, and He's no longer willing to forgive somebody, and we do know there's that part where it says there's unforgivable sin. Maybe Ruby, her boundaries would violate it to such extent she can't find it in her heart to forgive at this point. Who knows what the future may bring? I always want to say we do change. Look how much I've changed in the last 10 years, 20 years. Each of y'all, I've seen y'all's progression being here on the internet. That's one thing about, they say the largest room in the world is the room for improvement. We can all improve in some regard in our life. So that's all I say is I can see it both ways. But I do agree with Gigi. It is a hard weight sometimes if we don't forgive. And as Linda said, I will have to say, forgiveness is more or less for us, more so than it is the other person. But you can forgive and not forget. You by not forgetting, you never let them do you the same way. You show them you do have boundaries and say, I might forgive you this time, but it better never happen again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me
Fool me
twice, shame on
twice.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll never fool me twice. And that's like us leaving a Watchtower. We won't fall for another cult. The smart ones won't, I'll tell you that. And I know there's some people that goes from the frying pan into the fire. But and one other thing, now I about forgot it, but this is for Ruby. If you go look at that guy that Gigi's telling you about, I've watched him many times, Jesse Lee Peterson. Don't start off with the debate of him and Aaron Ra, because Aaron Ra is a devoted atheist and he manhandled Jesse Lee Peterson. But it's on Jesse Lee Peterson's site. That is an awesome debate, but you will laugh through it because just some of the stuff that goes on besides the intellectual conversation, there's some stuff behind the scenes that you'll laugh about, or I did highly. But Jesse Lee Peterson, I'll tell you, he's a Houston preacher, and he will try to pull people out of their comfort zone. And if anybody says anything he don't like, he'll always resort to this. Oh, the reason you say that is I'm black and I'm old, I'm slow. You'll hear it in many of his conversations, and he can get by with a lot of stuff, and he likes to see where people's goats tied. So you'll understand what I'm talking about if you watch any of his interviews, any of his podcasts, any of that. But I will
Mm-hmm.
leave it at that. But if you start with the one with him debating Aaron Ra, you're going to think he's not that intelligent. But Aaron Ra manhandles him. I'll tell you that. You can read the comments down through there, and I actually felt bad for Jesse Lee Peterson. But he is a preacher. This is no lie. Out in Houston, you can research that.
He
Go ahead, sir. Someone there?
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yep, we can hear you.
and we know
Maybe we
that.
can't.
Can you?
You're coming. You're kind of coming in.
I'm doing the best I can.
There you go. Gotcha. You're coming in now.
The bankruptcy, if it would happen, it would be very serious. It would be that if Watchtower went bankrupt.
Well, do you think that do you think they're going to go bankrupt if they have just opened up an asset company in Ireland?
Yeah. Let me explain to you.
A lawsuit that could go bankrupt.
Yeah.
But I remember you talking about certain bankruptcies on your show. What was it about?
Because Ireland is very friendly for corporations. Big companies, all of the Silicon Valley people are over there in Ireland too, and so Dallas. That was a question I had because Dallas was saying in the comment about Watchtower be the biggest bankruptcy. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Watchtower doesn't owe any money, but yeah, they owe money to the lawsuits. So that would be a different thing. It would be a moving of transferring the wealth of the United States to other countries.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
Wow. I never thought of that. That's what that is. It's almost like they're moving their money like an offshore accounts in a way. So that it's protected from them getting sued, from that money getting sued. Like you distinguish difference between your companies. Well, this is our real estate company, and this is JW.org. Like, don't they have shell companies? Go ahead.
As a religion is what it is.
May I make one comment?
Yeah, go ahead. Hi, is this Amory?
Yeah, there was
Hello,
a gentleman called himself. Hi, a gentleman called in Saturday on the Tentacle Show, and he said his name was Steve, and he was from New Jersey. And what he said just blew me away. I only remember pieces, but he said, no matter what you do or don't do, say or don't say, people are going to be the way they are, and there's nothing you can do about it. He said the best way that I can defend myself or protect myself, he said, is to keep my distance from foolishness. And it sounds so simple, but when I pictured it, I realized that mentally, if you're looking outward, out of yourself, to what somebody else did or said or didn't do or didn't say that hurt you, it's almost like you're tuning in to the very thing that is still hurting you. And it's so hard. And I know a lot of people say forgiveness isn't about them, and it's not saying that what they did was okay. It's not about them. It's releasing the burden in yourself of carrying that load of hurt and pain and remembering and feeling resentment and whatever else you feel and wishing it to be different or wishing maybe someday they'll apologize or give you that hug. To me, it's just my opinion. But my Jehovah's Witness mother told me one day, after I told her this lady who lived next door to me was a horrible person, literally was trying to drive me out of my home. she told me, you know, Anne Marie, it could be worse. And I'm like, how could it be worse? She said, you could be her. She said, the way to feel better is to start praying for her and to pray for her healing. And I'm like, oh, hell no. She's a effing bitch from hell. She even scares the devil. But I did what my mom said. She said, just try. So I put my head down and I talked to God like I talk to everybody. I said, Lord, you know I don't want to be praying, and you know I'm no hypocrite. But my mom said I have to pray for her healing. And personally, I feel like I hate her guts. Okay, I'm sorry I said that. Please help me not to feel like I hate her guts. But I do hate her guts. Okay, I'll try again. And the more I tried, and when I actually tried to say the words, the more I actually prayed for her healing, the more it was like the Lord opened up my heart to realize that all of her ugliness and all of her meanness and just horrible things that she was doing was from pain that I didn't know she had. And my mom kept saying, don't forget, hurting people hurt people. So when Steve from New Jersey said, I protect myself by keeping my distance from foolishness, I realized it's like, you're not going to touch the asp, you know, the poisonous cobra or a poisonous spider. Why are you getting involved in the sewer? You don't want that mess on you. It's not that you forgive the sewer for being a sewer, because the sewer is going to stink no matter what you do, but you don't have to stand there and smell it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Anne Marie. What a good point you made. Thank you for your story so much. You're not usually on late night. It's nice to hear from you. Just to let the audience know,
Eric,
what
I
is it?
missed.
Oh, go ahead, Anne Marie.
No, I'm just saying thank you, and I've missed you, Eric.
Oh, I missed you too, honey. I'm sorry I haven't called on your show lately. Actually, there's been times, you know how like you have like a thought, and then like you're trying to weed through the people, and then the conversation just like goes somewhere else, and I forgot my thought, and I'm like, well, oh well. But I'm always listening, and even if I'm not even if I'm not calling in, I'm always supporting you in that way. You do such a great job. And you know what? Just before you go, I wanted to let you know that there's this gal that I've been talking to, and I've got to get back to her again. Like we've been chatting back and forth on email, and she came on the show, on my show, the last show that I had, Audrey, and we got to know a little bit of her story. But I'm gonna ask her in an email if she'd like to. Maybe you could, if she'd be willing to, for you to interview her on your Sunday show. You know, I'll see what she says.
That might be a good idea for her. That's why, thank you for thinking of that, Eric, because that's why Rick set aside an hour every other Sunday just so that the next witness member can come on and talk at their own pace, and I can be there to hopefully be supportive and to validate, because it's hard. The word, like Debbie, I mean, Debbie's given her testimony. It took 3 shows to do her testimony because she has had so much horrible, unbelievable, unimaginable things. And I know she talks a lot, but that woman is so full of love. But the thing is, if Rick hadn't thought of setting aside an hour, you know, who's Debbie going to talk to? How is she going to be able to take her time? And others that have come on, they know they can take their time. And if it's going to take another show, you know what? We'll do another show. And thank you for thinking of that, Eric. It's a great idea.
Yeah, for sure. I'll see what she thinks. But I interviewed her a little bit when she came on the show, and I didn't, because it was the first time meeting her, I didn't press her too hard. But she got this fellowship for seeing something in the congregation that was really wrong, and an elder was involved with it, and she got this fellowship for causing what is it, like division, or what's the other word? But anyways, she got this fellowship for causing problems, basically. And I didn't ask like, well, what happened? Because I don't know her situation. or I didn't know her situation at the time. But we're talking, and I'll reach out to her again. I need to get back to her. She's really fast at sending emails, and I'm not, because I do it all on the phone, and I have like caveman hands. It's so hard for me to type without an actual keyboard. I can actually type. I learned it from school, but like I can't do it on my phone. I'm horrible at it. But yeah, I'll get in touch with her and see if that's something she would want to do. I think that you're such a good interviewer, and you have a lot of empathy. That's why when you said Rick was a good interviewer, I said you were too. Um, because like I think you would she'd feel comfortable with you two sisters talking, you know. But she's got a pretty cool story, and her she's actually got a good outcome because her kids are all awake, and her husband is physically out, mentally in, basically, or faded or something like that. But she wants him to be awake, but I'm like, well, that's not so bad. I'm not underlining what she's going through, but it just shows that like everybody's touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, just like the show you have.
Yes, it is pretty bad. And I thank you for your support. I think we're all important. And I always think, what if Rick Barron had listened to that prodding of the Holy Spirit to tell him to start up the platform of the six screens? Would any of us who are so comfortable with each other and talking freely and joking around with each other, even getting mad with each other, we wouldn't have this community and this knowing of one another if it wasn't for the six screens. And I'm so beyond grateful because I know you and Stephen and Debbie and Jane and King of the Dot, everybody. Isn't it wonderful? Thank you so much, Eric.
Oh, thank you, honey. Yeah, it is wonderful. It's nice to have a community. I've been in the darkness for a long time, Desiree and I, and she's too shy to come on here. But I didn't have any friends or any contacts or anybody before Six Screens for at least 6 or 7 years. You know, just being a hermit. Um, and I still am one in a way because I don't have physical friends here, but it's nice to have a community here. I get a lot of love from you guys in the comments section, and I love you all. I appreciate it. Um, the broken can comfort each other. I never let or I shouldn't say never, but I never purposely. I always physically and mentally and emotionally and energetically try to give to others of what I have that deserve it, that need it, and I try not to take out. I guess there's no other way to say it. I try not to take my shit out on others. You know, I a lot of times I wake up just filled with negativity, and when I run into like the other day, I'll give for an example. Like I was having a really bad day, and I walked into this convenience store, and I saw someone the regular that I knew all the time, and I just found it a miracle that I didn't take my shit out on her or just be like, I'm having a bad, like I threw a lot of positivity at her and said, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? I didn't talk about myself at all. And it wasn't that I was being fake. It's just that I try to, it's almost like, how do I describe it? In the camera, I'll do it if anybody's watching. It's like you try to just shake your body around and shake off that negative energy when you're about to approach somebody. My wife taught me that. And I think it's because of we're all connected to energy. But sorry for that rant a little bit. I know I'm getting off subject, but energy is so important in life. And Anne Marie is always filled with such good energy. And the reason why I was saying you're a good interviewer too is because I think you're an empath, and I think you when someone goes through pain, it's like you feel it too. And I appreciated that when you interviewed me, and
Oh,
when I noticed that you interview others.
yeah. One time I kind of realized I'd really screwed up the show so bad I couldn't even listen to the replay, and people were saying that I needed a therapist because I was just, you could hear I guess I was crying in my heart because I wasn't really boo-hoo crying over that poor guy that was so suicidal, Jim. Anyway, yeah, you're right. Every time somebody
No, it's a
tells
positive. It's a positive quality. It's endearing. It's what Jesus would do. That's what Jesus cried over deaths and over pain, people's pain, because he was probably the ultimate empath.
yeah, pretty. I never thought of that. Thank you so much for that, Eric. But I appreciate what you said about energy because that's what I was trying to. I didn't want to say anymore because I talked too much anyway.
Oh, you're good.
But to me, forgiveness is like energy. It's like when you forgive somebody, you're kind of stopping that flow of negative energy from you and your spirit for that other person's spirit. So when you realize hurting people hurt people, everybody does the best they can at any given time. Doesn't matter how that's just where they're at, and it doesn't mean it's okay or an excuse. It's just is. It's like it's pouring down rain now. It's a sunny day at the beach. It just is what it is. But we can only look at ourselves and choose, am I going to feed that negative thing that's so hurtful with more negative energy? Because you're going to get it both ways. You're sending it out, but you're also getting it back. And it can really ruin your mind. It can ruin your emotional state, your spirit, and your soul. And I have personally found that to be true. I don't mean to be lecturing, but thank you so much for your time. And thank you for letting me speak.
Oh no, it's not about that. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm glad you called in. Um, I can't remember what movie it's from, but it's going along with what you were saying, Anne Marie. That like, uh, what was it? The guy was basically, or a guy or girl or whoever it was saying that to hold on to anger or negativity towards somebody costs you so much, but forgiveness costs nothing. And it was just like kind of, I'm probably butchering it, but the point was just being that like you're right. Like if you harbor resentment towards someone, it'll really like hurt you. It's just easier to let go. Because when you let go, that's exactly what you're letting go of, negative energy.
And moving
Yeah,
on, completely moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, moving on, right? Maybe and this too, Ruby, like accepting that someone won't change and just being like, well, I'm done then. When things change, then I'll change too. There's like a yin and a yang, a balance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Eric, before I forget, I was gonna bring
Hmm.
a point back to your topic about trickery because
Yeah.
uh when I was 16, I finally realized that we have free will, right? You know how many times they say that Jehovah gives us free will, that it's our
Yeah.
choice to serve him and things like that. And in that one conversation I had with my mom at 16, I said, well, if Jehovah gives us free will, then I should be able to make the decision whether or not I want to worship him. And if I want to go to the kingdom hall, and if I want to go preaching, and if I want to do all of these things that you're telling me to do. And if you are right that we have free will, then let me exercise that free will. Why are you not letting me exercise that free will? That's the trickery with these JWs. They say that you have the choice and you have the freedom and all of that, but it's a lie because you don't.
Yeah.
And then when you realize that you don't, oh, now you expect these things to happen, and if you don't do it, then they take away your reward, they take away your snack because you're not listening. No, we need to finally use our free will and exercise that to make our own decisions. And if you want to go ahead and worship God and believe in God, or whatever it is, go right ahead. You have the free will to do that, and you have the free will not to do it.
Yeah. Good point. Oh my goodness, that comment is hilarious. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Ruby. Well, I didn't interrupt you. I just got off your comment, but sorry. No, no, you make a good point though. Forgiveness is a two-way street, basically, to sum it up. You know, people need to be sorry, and um, But at the same time, you can forgive somebody, but just accept that, like, well, they don't accept me. So I accept that they don't accept me. It's almost like I
Well,
agree to disagree, like
let me
scenario.
let me explain trickery so you guys could all understand it. Okay, it's called the Lord's evening meal, and you get there, you're like, where the hell's the food? And I can't drink. Now that is trickery. I mean,
Well,
think
yeah,
about it.
that too. The fact that we
The
did a
Lord's
black
evening meal.
mass and we like denied the emblems. Sorry, I got off the
But,
subject of trickery.
but think about
I
that.
forgot
You know,
about. I'm seeing the
the
comment
Lord,
section about forgiveness.
the
Go ahead,
Lord's
Gigi.
evening,
Sorry.
the Lord's evening meal. There's no food, and
Yeah,
and you can't drink from the wine. I mean, if that's not a trickery, if that's not the classic Manhattan ping pong, where you have the cup and the ping pong, and I mean, that is like am I stupid or something? Yeah, yeah. You went to the
yeah,
memorial.
you're right. You're onto something.
Mhm.
Well, what about the faithful slave giving spiritual food at the proper time? But the Bible don't say that. It says food. So that's trickery. Like, what is this
Well,
spiritual food crap? Why aren't you feeding us? Because the Catholic
well,
Church and the Baptists and everyone else are feeding, right? Non-denominationals, they're feeding people. Well, Jehovah's
well,
Witnesses, they don't feed anybody. They say, "Oh, we give you spiritual food," but the Bible never says spiritual food.
well,
Yeah,
Jesse and I disagree with you on that. Watchtower does give
yeah. Why's
spiritual
that?
food.
How's
It's
that?
just spiritual salmonella. It's just the food is tainted with salmonella.
That's funny.
It's tainted.
It's tainted with salmonella. So see, you're wrong.
Yeah,
They do spiritually feed you. It just gives
yeah.
you the runs. It gives you the
Well,
runs,
it's
man.
poison. It's poison, right? Yeah. There you go. It's
Mm-hmm.
poison. They feed you
Well,
poison.
the truly sad part is the trickery starts way, way before you ever make it to that memorial. Think about it. You go to somebody's door. Hi, we're here to offer you a free Bible study. Do you really study the Bible, or do you study a Watchtower publication?
Exactly.
Right there's where the trickery. It's the old bait and switch. What if they actually was truthful, went up to somebody's door, knocked on it, and said, "Hi, I'm here to study the latest Watchtower publication with you." How would that go over with the typical householder? They'd just most of them wouldn't even give it the time of day. They'd be like, "Get out of here! I don't want to know that about Watchtower." But they understand people are interested in the Bible because of our location, how they were raised. So that's the way they get the old foot in the door, the old trickery. It's like, here, we're here with them. But they'll never once say, can I offer you a free book study, a free publication study? It's always the Bible study, but you never really study the Bible.
Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a
m-
publication study.
maybe Watchtower is turning tricks. I mean, trickeries. Yeah, joke.
Turning tricks, yeah. Well, they could be doing prostitution. You never know. It'd probably be gay prostitution in Bethel.
No, I can't believe it.
Turning trick.
I'm
Hey,
shocked.
what's his name? Mark Sanderson will be the pimp. Right? He's never been married. He's the 40-year-old virgin, 50-year-old virgin,
50-year
whatever,
old.
however
Yeah.
old he is. 50. Yeah,
Now that's a good
But
movie, the 40-Year-Old Virgin. That was some good movie.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was a good movie. Yeah, pretty good. Go for
but you
goat.
know, if Mark Sanderson keeps growing his beard, he may attract a woman. He might, because that made him. I have to say, he's one of the few people up there I've seen that look better with a beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It made
Sam
him look
Hurd don't look too
made him look
good.
more
I don't know. I
mature.
don't think any of them look good.
I definitely don't like
Hey,
Samuel Hurd's beard. Yeah,
none
Eric,
of
you
them
got
got this. None of them got this Blackbeard pirate's beard, right? I don't got a single gray in. When I do, I pluck it. I don't got hair on my head, on the top of my head, but I got a black beard, man.
The only problem I have with Mark
I want to be a
Sanderson,
pirate. Go ahead.
look, the only problem I have with Mark Sanderson being gay is, because he's 50 years old, he's not dating a woman, and he's not. There's nothing wrong with a 50-year-old man who's dedicated his life to Jesus, and he's fasting and praying and going all over the world helping people. Okay, fine, but he's not doing that. My whole thing is this:
No way.
what's up with the gay pride? I mean, if you're going to be gay, be proud of it, right? Like, I'm straight, I like women, I'm proud of it, and I expect you to feel the same way regardless of how you feel. You know, it was just I'm proud of myself. So what the hell's up with this Mark Sanderson thing? We know you're gay. Why are you ashamed of it? You know.
Not for nothing. They're kind of all gay except for Anthony Morris. He was like the only masculine guy.
Loesch is not.
I don't know. Huh?
Loesch is not gay. Loesch is out of
maybe
place.
not. Not Loesch either. Yeah, but then again, the guy wears a he's known to wear a what's the tiny little thing you wear when you go in the pool? He was speedos. He wears speedos. Yeah, but maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know. But kind of weird. Anytime guys try to get like halfway naked, it's kind of like or naked. It's weird. I don't know.
No, Jared Loesch.
He has a worse body than I have, and I wouldn't. I would be like Meet the Fockers or whatever that movie was, the first one, where he like has a speedo to wear and he's like staring at it. I'd be the same way, like yeah, no, that ain't happening.
Okay, that was a funny movie. That was
a badass movie. No doubt, Wild.
That makes me want to watch it again. That's so funny.
I don't like Robert De Niro, but that was a good movie.
Yeah. And then what was the other one where they had their kids and it's like Meet the Little Fockers or something? I laughed all through. He said, "You come here, you little fucker."
Eric Nezer.
That is funny shit. That is the greatest nickname. All right, you can't let that one leave. That's awesome.
Oh, that is great, Shaq. Yeah.
I'll trim it better.
I'm gonna call you that from now on, Eric Nezer.
That's funny. Maybe that should be my new name on YouTube.
Yes.
You need to get you one of those little hats like the Society had in their publications, Eric.
Yeah. I'll get a hat. I'll set it up.
You need a crown.
You would pull that off. Yeah,
fuck yeah! Awesome. I'm a king. the king of 6 screens.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Talk about Eric, if you want to set something up, Eric, set up that pool that I told Rick about. I got $20 down that it's Loesch that's leaving, but if we can get like a board,
you think it's Loesch? Man, well, no, you know what? Hey, Gigi, I'm torn. I'm torn between Loesch and Hurd. That's who I'm torn.
Yeah, I think it's Hurd because he made that comment about retiring, and that probably gave them like a lot of backlash because it looks like elder abuse that they keep him there when he's verbalized that he don't want to work anymore.
Well, I don't think you guys believe anything until I see $20 on the table. I'm telling you, man, have fun with this. You know, I got 20. I don't believe you.
I have to highlight that. That is an awesome comment. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you a bunch of hats for different shows. Just like I wear my different wigs, we need different stuff for you.
There you go, Ruby.
Mega, make Eric great again, man. That'd be nice because I'm a broken man. I do the show and I laugh with you guys, but life is hard. I don't need to tell you. You guys know.
Hi, Jimmy. Jimmy's in the chat.
Hey, Jimmy. Well, I do have bad news, unless Rick wants to correct me, but I think I have to shut the show down in about 10 minutes or so. He was telling me I've been going on too long. Let's see, it's 11 my time, so it's 12 his. It depends on what he wants to do, but we'll keep going for now because I can go 10, 20, 30 minutes over. I'm sure he'd be okay with that if he wants to
Eric,
pipe in.
I'm not going to drop this. Just tell me if you don't want to do it. I'll do it. Are you going to drop $20 on a governing body member or not?
$20. What do I got to do? Like give you a Walmart thing? Like a
no. We're gonna have a pool, like a pool, like and
yeah. But how do I get the how do we put the money? Cash App or something?
No. It's like what's his name says. We go on the honor system. We have like a pool, like in the at work. You know.
Well, I gotta mail. If I lose, I gotta mail you a check.
Okay, we'll make it $10. $10. But I really think it's Jared Loesch. I mean, The guy wants to go back to Germany. You know.
Can I
Maybe-
can I pay you in pot? I'll make it $40. I'll make it $40 in weed. $40 in weed. That'll double your profit.
Okay.
Hey, if
How
you make
many
it,
nuts?
if you make it gummies, I'll go.
I'm just playing with y'all. Yeah, I don't know. I might, but I gotta figure out who it is. I'm leaning towards Herd, so I gotta come up with who I think it is because I thought
If
it would
Herd
be.
leaves,
I
if
thought it would be
leaves,
Herd or the other guy. What's his name? It's
this is
leaving.
where this is where they need professionals. If Herd leaves, let's say Herd, if they fire
Yeah.
you or you leave, you claim racism. I mean, I would play the race card if I was Samuel Herd. If they try to do anything on
But
me,
he wants
and it's
to leave.
that's what I'm saying. If Samuel Herd
So how can you
leaves,
claim that?
But wouldn't you want to leave if you were the only black guy and they only give you token parts? So he probably does want to leave. I
and he
would.
has he has like a full house.
Yeah. But I'll tell you right now who needs to leave is
Who's that?
David Splain. The way he
I was
tried
thinking
to,
David Splain too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the way
Why?
he tried to explain that new generation crowd back in '96 or whenever it was with them stupid charts. Anybody that would do that's reminiscent of way back in the day when they tried to use all those charts and graphs to prove the pyramids. Pick 1914 as the end. That was as bad on kill as that ever was. But yeah, David Splain, it was the worst explanation I ever heard of anything, was that overlapping generation crap. So
He's
he got my vote.
he's probably squeakier clean than the rest of them though.
Whitehall,
he said some stupid stuff, but go ahead.
but this is where Whitehall see Whitehall. You don't think like a member of the governing body. So let me help you understand something. Do you actually believe that David Splain came up with this and then explained it?
Yeah, true.
Or,
No.
or do
Yeah.
you think that they had a meeting on Wednesday and they say which one of you effers
Which one?
are
Yeah,
going
they
to give the speech?
straws.
And
They
then
pulled
they
straws.
spun the wheel. No, they spun the wheel, and the wheel landed on him, and he had to give that speech.
Yeah, he's like, fuck.
I totally agree with that. I've even told people that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I said you can see it in his face on that video.
Oh, that's right, Let.
It's like he's terrified that he drew the short straw, and now he's got to try to explain this stuff. And there's no scriptures, just a chart. And look how many times he uses the word suppose, or let's assume that brother Fred Prince back here. And you know that word assume, it makes an ass out of you and me, as they say, if you break it down. And and I kept waiting. I'm like, surely there's going to be some scriptures incorporated here anytime now. And it was all assumptions and suppose and speculative. And I'm like, wow, how anyone could stay after that was beyond me. I knew that was a done deal for me right there.
But
that amongst others.
He wasn't selling it. He was not selling it. It wasn't in him. You
Hey,
could tell
Bob
that
Roberts made a good point. What about Stephen Lett?
He sold it.
What about Stephen Lett? That's what Bob Roberts was saying. That's another candidate.
When he
enemies
said
are babies are enemies of God. Sorry.
No, you understand when Stephen Lett gave that speech, at least he was selling it. He was trying to sell the idea. As David Splain was like, "Oh shit, how am I going to? When is this clock going to end?" He wanted it to be over.
Lett's a millionaire as well. Maybe they want to keep him around. I don't know. He's a millionaire from his brother. The both of them have a real estate business together.
Mm-hmm.
He might have like a good amount of pull and power with his money, and I don't know, political power in the organization. He seems to be loyal to them. I don't know who would be, but I forgot that would be another one. So I'd say one of those three, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but Jimmy Bell's wrong. Sounds like GB bashing, which would be fun. No, we got money on this. I want to make this interesting. No
one's bashing Jimmy.
No, I'm bashing Jimmy. Jimmy, I got money on this. I want to get my brother's My brother Jesse lost $20 to Jimmy Bell. I'm trying to get it back.
I see what he's saying. Oh.
Did he pay though?
I don't know.
Yeah, did he pay or stiff him? We got to know. Inquire.
Yeah, where is Jesse? He needs to tell us if he paid.
He's in there somewhere.
Hey, I got
Jehovah's debater.
I got a quick question. After the show, are we going to go take the party somewhere else? Because I'm pretty good at talking to people and stuff. Last time I was able to talk to Linda, and this has been months ago. We swapped over hers because we got a good crew tonight, and Jimmy's just getting on. And I know Rick needs his rest. Rick Farron.
Yeah,
So
I've been going on. I've been going on for 6 hours, and it beats me up too. But I don't mind.
yeah, who's got a
I
channel that we can hop over to that'd be willing to open up for a
I don't
live?
know. Is Linda still on? Does she have her channel tonight?
I think so.
I can.
Well, I know
But
Jimmy's got one, Ruby's got one, Linda's got one, and I've always had a blast on all their channels. Does Jimmy Bell have a live channel on here yet? I know he's got his topics and stuff.
his Facebook
Oh,
is
it's
down.
Facebook.
Yeah, Linda. Hey, just so you know, I looked at my notifications, and Linda has a live show going right now. So
Oh,
if
okay.
y'all want to, if y'all want to, and I might join you if y'all want to jump there, we could go support her.
Yeah, give her some love at least. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'll join.
I'm gonna go pop the top on one more drink because it's hot right here now.
Hey, everyone should go over there, and because she has an open stream yard.
Yeah, let's go support. Let's go support Linda.
Okay.
I'm for it. Who else is for it?
I'll meet you there. Give me about 5 minutes.
I promised Rick I would do shorter shows. He's getting tired, and it's not fair to him. You know, and sometimes like the last show we had, I think I was like talking politically and disagreeing with Zachary, and we were talking about something that we maybe shouldn't for YouTube. So like Rick shut it down. But like, yeah, I don't want to do that to him. So we'll bounce from here. But
He has 6
hey,
people
thanks to
on
every.
it.
I'm actually proud of myself if I talk all y'all guys and go over there because see, this is how I got in trouble with the elders. They're like, well, they use my real name, but we'll just use Wow. They're like, you're always talking people into doing stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not the example. You are. You guys are elders. But I would always be wound up in the back room. It was your idea, wasn't it? And I was like, no, it wasn't. Not every time. Some of it was. But yeah, I'll meet you over there. Give me 5 minutes. I'll pop the top and I'll see you over there, guys.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you everyone for coming on tonight. Thanks, Wild Wall, and thanks, Ruby, and Gigi.
So, guys, just go on YouTube, type in Apostle Babe Linda James. You'll see it, and everybody needs to go send some love over there. Just crash her party. She'll love it.
Bye. Thank you, Eric.
All right, everyone. Thanks for coming on, and don't forget to pop that red pill. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Again. Oh.